Hello and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Show. I am your host, Jay Jones. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the Black community by promoting business ownership. If you are currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, we invite you to join us every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 247. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is legacy. What would your legacy be if you died today? 7 questions you need to ask yourself. Legacy. What would your legacy be if you died today? 7 questions you need to ask yourself. Now, before we get to today's episode, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome any new listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to the BEB family. We're on episode 247, so you got a whole lot of content you got to catch up on. Please also stay to the end of today's episode, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information, and please link up and connect with me via social media. Next, my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. So if you're interested in building a successful, sustainable, which is the key word, e-commerce business, please go to anewblackwallstreet.com. Pick yourself up a copy. It's $14.95 plus shipping and handling. Now, the whole concept of circulating the black dollar worldwide is because we lack and we come in last in terms of economics. Every other ethnicity circulates their dollars in their own community, and we, for some reason, don't do it. So that was the impetus of writing the book. And so if you're interested, please check it out, anewblackwallstreet.com. Now, if you need additional assistance building your successful, sustainable e-commerce business, I've created a compatible online course titled Educated E-Commerce. So you can go to educatedecommerce.com and enroll in the course. And what the course does, it takes you from step A to step Z, and it holds your hand from you creating and designing and building your e-commerce business all the way up to the point where you launch your business. All right. Now, if you are a black product producer, I've created a platform to help you circulate those dollars in the black community, and it's called Be Smart by Black. BeSmartByBlack.com. So if you want to connect and sell to black consumers worldwide, just upload your information to BeSmartByBlack.com. It's free to upload your products. So please utilize these platforms. The additional other platform I created was Hire Black Freelancers. So if you are a freelancer, if you do anything on Fiverr, freelancer.com, please upload your contact information. It's free to Hire Black freelancers.com, HIRE, blackfreelancers.com. It's all about circulating that dollar. Get some visibility out there, guys. Put your information up there, and we're going to start really marketing it heavy, both of the two platforms, so we can start circulating this money in our own community. Now, on with today's episode. Legacy. What would your legacy be if you died today? 7 questions you need to ask yourself. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different, guys. Normally, I give you actionable steps to move you from point A to point B, but today, actually, I want you to think. Now, it's funny. I did an episode several months ago titled Think, Create, and Execute. That's really all an entrepreneur does. Think, create, and execute. The problem is a lot of times we're so busy in our business, we don't take the time to think. So me, for example, at least once a week, I take about 2 to 3 hours where I'm not disturbed. I turn my phone off. I don't get on the internet, turn my email off, and all I do is think about what I need to do in my business, and I start trying to plan. So today, guys, with today's episode, I really want you to think, because we're talking about legacy. Okay. Now, I also want to say that my prayers, my thoughts go out to the family of Nipsey Hussle. This is actually what today's episode really is about. That inspired me, a conversation with my oldest daughter and I. But I want to give a shout out to Nip, because he was in the neighborhood, he was in the community, and he was doing positive things. Positive things, setting an example. And what I really liked about Nip was he had the ability to talk to cats in the street all the way up to cats in the boardroom, and he was a visionary. And so we definitely want to remember him. Rest in power, my brother. And that's how today's episode really came about. So I had a conversation with my oldest daughter the same day Nip got killed, and she was very disturbed, and she started talking about her legacy and what would she leave behind. And so that's how today's episode came about. Legacy. What would your legacy be if you died today? 7 questions you need to ask yourself, because you're going to have a legacy that's going to encompass your entrepreneurial journey and also your lifelong journey. And so first, let me start off by giving you the definition of legacy. Legacy, a gift or bequest that is handed down, endowed, or conveyed from one person to another. It is something descendable one comes into possession of, that is transmitted, inherited, or received from a predecessor. I'm going to repeat that. Legacy, a gift or a bequest that is handed down, endowed, or conveyed from one person to another. It is something descendable one comes into possession of, that is transmitted, inherited, or received from a predecessor. So your legacy is handed down. And so, unfortunately, a lot of times we don't think about our legacy, what we represent, what we're leaving for our descendants, our children. And so this is something that's very important that really came to light. And it's funny because 2 things happen simultaneously when you die. 2 things happen simultaneously when you die. Number 1, your legacy starts. As soon as you die, your legacy starts. And the second thing is the work on your legacy instantaneously stops. Let me repeat that. 2 things happen simultaneously when you die. Your legacy starts and the work on your legacy stops. So that's why today's topic is legacy. What would your legacy be if you died today? 7 questions you need to ask yourself. And so it's funny because sometimes legacies change the further away they are. So the legacy of famous people at one point in time may be something, but years later, their legacy may change, and it's all based on perception. But basically, what will your legacy be if you died today? Okay, so I'm going to ask 7 questions. And today, guys, I just want you to think. This is going to be a short episode, but it's an episode that I think is important because we're not doing this just for us. I hope you're not doing this business just for you. Like we always talk about, hustle for your last name, not your first name. Basically, what that's saying is creating a legacy. What are you going to leave behind? Okay. Question number 1, you need to ask yourself, have you decided what you want your legacy to be? Now, it's funny because many people don't even think about it because we're so busy in the throes of things, trying to build a business or start a business or whatever. We don't even think what our legacy, what we want it to be. Okay. Have you thought it out? Did you realize that you're going to leave some kind of legacy regardless of if you decide to or not? So when you die, you're going to leave a legacy. The question is, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a legacy where you didn't live up to your expectations? Is it a legacy where you didn't care about anybody but yourself? Is it a legacy that your children would be proud of? These are things that we need to think about. And I think about this all the time. So number one, have you decided what you want your legacy to be? Have you even thought about it? So how do you want to be remembered? Okay, that's number one. Number two, what did you stand for? It's one thing to know what what you stand for, but the worst thing is if you don't stand for anything. If you're just floating along like a rudderless ship, that's not good, family. What did you stand for? I mentioned this on one of the shows before. One of my favorite uncles who passed away about 20 some odd years ago. I was talking to my aunt and we were just talking about him. And I asked her, I said, Auntie, I said, what were Unc's last words to you? And they were very profound. His last words to my aunt were, did I contribute? Did I contribute? And he didn't go into detail because those were his last words, but that's what he wanted to know. Did he contribute, I guess, to society, to the human race or whatever? So question number two, what did you stand for? Did you stand for equality? Did you stand for justice? Did you stand for the rights of the underserved? Did you stand for your family? What did you stand for? Question number two. Question number three, you want to ask yourself, are you proud of your legacy as it stands today? Are you proud of your legacy as it stands today? If you died today, would you be proud of your legacy? Or do you have work to do like I do? Most people continue to do work. So if you're not proud of it, make that change now. Make that change now. If you're out in the streets doing stuff you're not supposed to do, think about your legacy. Make that change now. If you're doing other stuff that you know you're not supposed to do, make that change now. Question number 4, and today's show topic is legacy. What would your legacy be if you died today? 7 questions you need to ask yourself. Question number 4, who have you helped or served? Who have you helped or served? Once again, guys, it's all about service. Yeah, we got to get ours, but in the grand scheme of things, we're here to serve in some form or fashion. So who have you helped or served? Who are those people? What are their causes? Is it, do you help underprivileged kids? Do you mentor? Do you tutor? Whatever. Who have you helped or served? It's a question that you really need to ask besides yourself, because that's self-preservation. We're always going to serve ourselves and help ourselves. But who else have you helped or served? Or do you even know? So if you don't know, try to figure that out and start helping or serving. Really, that's what the Creator put us here for, is to serve. It's for service. Question number 5. Have your actions coincided with the legacy you want to leave? Have your actions coincided with the legacy you want to leave? So one of my dad's old friends always used to say, you can't talk right and walk left. You can't talk right and walk left, meaning you can't say one thing and do something else. Have your actions coincided with the legacy you want to leave? So make sure if you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk. Okay. Question number 6. And this is big for me and anybody that has children. I'm sure this is big. What have you shown your children? What have you modeled for your children? And if you're listening to this and you have kids, you know you can tell your kids stuff, but many times your children watch what you do. Okay. What have you modeled for your children? Have you modeled a positive image as a father? Have you modeled a positive image as a mother? Have you modeled a positive image as a person? What have you shown your children? Your children are your immediate legacy. So this is paramount. What have you shown your children? And question number 7, what have you left behind? That's your legacy. Not just the money and the assets. Of course, that's important. Any traditions, any values, any activities. Everybody has like family traditions. So one of our family traditions is on Thanksgiving, we always hold hands. What are we thankful for? Christmas, since my kids were little, I'd videotape. I got every year, even now as they're 23 and 20. I got every year, I get up before them. And when they come down the steps, I'm always videotaping them coming down the steps and opening up the presents and all that stuff. That's a tradition. That's a value. And it's funny, my oldest daughter was like, you know what, Dad? We have a lot of good traditions and things that I want to continue with, you know, when she gets married and has kids. So number 7, what have you left behind? Now I'm going to touch on this money and assets because Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, it's all about circulating the black dollar in the black community, supporting black owned businesses and taking your entrepreneur IQ to different levels. And so please don't leave this earth and have your children in debt. Okay. And on a personal note, it's crazy because my dad, after his business failed, he never got back on the horse. And one of the things when he passed years ago, it actually cost me money. He left, you know, a couple dollars here, so, you know, car and all that stuff. But by the time I did probate and had to pay, you know, the state and the city and all of that, I actually lost money. And it was something because he never put his stuff in order. Okay, he didn't have a will, so it had to go through probate. And that's when the state or the county or whatever basically has to get involved. They take a piece of that. And it's because he didn't do it the right way. So what have you left behind? Make sure that you're not leaving bills for your kids. And I know sometimes it's hard. You may be in a situation where you haven't gotten to where you wanted to be yet, and something happens and bam, you're gone. And now your kids are jammed up. But build assets. I talked about that before. Always try to build assets. Be it your home, be it investments, be it savings, whatever. Always try to build assets. What have you left behind? Now that's the money aspect. But even greater than the money are the values and the traditions. I was talking to a friend of mine, and they were telling me about his wife's family. Every family reunion they have, they actually get together and they will put together a fund, scholarship type of fund for family members that want to start businesses. This has been a tradition because there have been a lot of entrepreneurs in that family. So every family reunion, I think it's every 2 years or something like that, they have money to help any family member that wants to start a business. That's a tradition. That's something that they've left behind because I think it was started by the grandparents or great grandparents, and that tradition was left behind, a great tradition. So what have you left behind? And yeah, you need to leave money and assets behind. We all hope we can do that for our children and our children's children. That's how generational wealth is passed down. But in addition to the money, we want to leave other things, traditions, and more so probably even than that is values. What type of values are you leaving, okay, for your family, your children? So that way they'll continue to move with that same mindset. So today's show topic, guys, is legacy. What would your legacy be if you died today? 7 questions you need to ask yourself. Once again, this episode is a little different. This is a thinking episode. It's a thinking episode. And a lot of times we don't think about our legacy because we're so busy trying to be out here getting our money, taking care of our families and doing what we need to do. But sometimes, family, you got to pull back. You have to pull back and think. Set some time aside. Go to a quiet place, a nice quiet place. Nobody's going to bother you. Cut your phone off. Turn off the internet. Turn the TV off. Go sit in the park and just think. And my favorite time to think is actually early in the morning. So a lot of times things will come to me in the morning. If I have a problem or concern, I'll sleep on it. Like they say, man, I'm gonna sleep on it. And when I wake up, I don't know if it's from divine intervention or what. A lot of times, a lot of my great ideas and problem solving comes when I wake up in the morning. I'll go to bed with 18 problems and I'll wake up with 19 solutions, and that's my quiet time. It's a time where I think. So sometimes I'll lay in the bed from, say, maybe 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and I'll just think. But you really need to start doing that, guys. Once again, the only 3 things a true entrepreneur does is think, create, and execute. Do not forget to think. Don't forget to think, because I know we're busy trying to make money and keep the business running and all that. Take time weekly to think. So I'm going to rehash this real quick. Excuse me. Today's show topic, legacy. What would your legacy be if you died today? 7 questions you need to ask yourself. Number 1, have you decided what you want your legacy to be? Have you even thought about it? And family, you're going to leave a legacy even if you decide to or not. Okay? Once you die, now your legacy starts. So what's it going to be? Are you going to define the legacy, or are you just going to let things happen? So have you decided what you want your legacy to be is question number 1. Question number 2, what did you stand for? Did you stand for anything, or you just out trying to get yours? What did you stand for? Did you stand for equality? Did you stand for human rights? Did you stand for whatever, family? Did you stand for your race, your ethnicity? What did you stand for? You got to have something that you stand for. What they say, if you don't have anything to stand for, you're going to fall for everything. What did you stand for? Question number 3. Are you proud of your legacy as it stands today? If you died today, if you fell out right now, are you proud of your legacy as it stands today? And if not, make those changes you need to effective immediately. Okay. Number 4, question 4, who have you helped or served? Who are the people you're serving? Who are the people you're helping? What are the causes? Once again, family, we're here to serve. Yes, we have to take care of ourselves, but in the grand scheme of things, we're here to serve. Number 5, question 5, have your actions coincided with the legacy you want to leave? Yeah, I want to do this, and the other thing, and you're doing the complete opposite of what you're talking about. So make sure your actions coincide with the legacy you want to leave. Question 6, what have you shown your children? What have you shown your children? What have you modeled for them? Not what you said to them so much. What have you modeled for them? Because kids are going to look at what you do. Oh, Dad, you said this, but you doing this. And there are times that I had to check myself big time. Big time. I laid down one day and I was just like, man, I'm like, this isn't right. I got to do better. So I had to sit down and check myself, because I had to ask myself, what am I showing my kids? What am I showing my kids? So sometimes you got to check yourself. All right. Question number 7. What have you left behind? And yes, it goes without saying, leave as many assets as you can. That's called generational wealth. So your children aren't starting off from 0 or behind the 8 ball. That's how a lot of these wealthy families, they keep it moving. So when the parents die, the kids have assets. They can buy houses, cars, and not frivolous stuff, but they're able to invest in houses, buying houses. If they need a car, they have the money to have cars. I had a crazy conversation with a brother years ago that said, and he was in the life insurance business, and we were talking, and he was like, yeah, man, he said, I cut my life insurance off. I stopped it. He wasn't married. His son was 18. He said, I stopped paying life insurance because my son is 18. He's a man now. And I said, dude, the life insurance isn't for you. It's for your family. It's for your son. So if something, God forbid, happens to you, now your son has a leg up. You won't be there, but now he has some capital to work with, to buy a house, to do whatever he needs, maybe go to school. And I'm like, man, that's the wrong mindset, brother. It ain't about you as a parent. Our job is to help prepare our children, for when we're not here. So number 7, what have you left behind? We definitely want to leave the assets. That's without saying, but also look at traditions, values, activities, things that you may always do as a family. So today's show is short, family, but it's a thinking show. Think about these things. This is serious business. And, with Nip dying, that conversation sparked with my daughter and I. She's 23 and she's like, Dad, I got to work on my legacy. And it's funny when you're 23. Now, Nip was 33 when he died. So that's only a 10-year difference. And I think that's what really got to her. She's like, this brother was only 33. And he's been doing some tremendous things out there in the community, in the world. And so that conversation really hit me too, because I was amazed that she even thought about legacy at that young age, when there are other cats, way older than her that never thought about legacy. But it's something that's important. That lives after your physical body is gone. That stays. It's eternal. Remember, only two things happen simultaneously when you die. Your legacy starts and the work on your legacy stops. So when you die, it's a wrap. That's it. You die today, your legacy starts today. What are they going to think about, Dad, when he dies? What kind of legacy did he leave? Was it a good legacy? Was it a bad legacy? Was there really hardly no legacy? Was he about anything? So that's what we really need to focus on, family. Because once again, it's not just us. It's about our legacy. It's about our legacy and what we leave for our family. So now, guys, before we sign off, I say it each and every week. Thank you so much for making Black Entrepreneur Blueprint as popular as it is. And I attribute that all to the BEB family. Please, guys, continue to spread the word via social media, word of mouth, smoke signals, whatever you need to do. I greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get this good word out here to the family. If you need to connect with me, anything long, please hit me on email at jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. That's JAYJONES @blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Facebook, just go to Facebook, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, like the page. Twitter, I'm JJones001, JAYJONES001. Follow me. Instagram, JJones for real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, family. A lot more is coming out on YouTube, and I have additional content on YouTube. So go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and hit that subscribe button. LinkedIn, if you want to connect via LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn, J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and please invite me to connect. And if you want to be included in the BEB text line for any reminders and notifications, please text BEB, like Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, to 555-888, BEB to 555-888. Love you guys. I'll see you same time next week. Peace.